This is my new laptop, and it really surprised me, to be honest. Let me tell you why. Hi everybody, welcome to the TechDweeb show. So this is my new laptop. This is the HP Envy 13-AY0007CA, which is not the most elegant name. I think we can all agree on that. You know, I figured it was time to upgrade, and I wanted something kind of middle of the road, you know. I didn't need like a gaming laptop because I got a good gaming PC and I don't leave my house very often, to be honest. So I just need a laptop to use around the house and maybe take with me if I don't know, need to go out for some reason. And I wanted it to be able to play some games. I didn't need like, you know, a gaming laptop, but I want to be able to at least play a game on it if I want to. So this is the one I kind of settled on. It's a good jack of all trades laptop, if you could think about it like that. So first I'm gonna show you the laptop, and then I'm gonna tell you about it, and then I'm gonna show you some gaming on this laptop, and we'll see what kind of performance we can get. And spoiler alert, it actually did really, really good. Very surprised at the performance. So yeah, let's dive in. So the laptop itself, it's very light. It's I don't know the exact weight. Maybe I'll put it on the screen. Maybe I won't. It's very light and it feels great in the hand. It's one of those laptops that flips around, so you could, you know, use it as a tablet too if you wanted. Hi, Fud. I see you right away, the reflection, Fud. It's got a nice metal case. It feels great in the hand. This is exactly what I wanted. It was something kind of small and sleek. This is the 13-inch model. For I/O, we have micro SD card slot, which is good because I actually do use micro SD cards quite often. We have a USB-A port here, and this is weird. It's got like a little cover on there. When you plug it in, it pulls down. See that? A little bit strange. It's cool, I guess. It makes it sleek and low profile when you're not using it. We got the charging port over there. And on this side, we have a headphone jack, which is always appreciated. We got another little covered USB-A port there. And we have a USB-C port. That is a Thunderbolt port. The bottom, we got some good ventilation there. And some speakers on the side, I think. You just got two things. You can upgrade the memory, the RAM, and you can also upgrade the SSD. It's a M.2 SSD in there. I really like what they did with their logo. It's much more minimalist, way less cheesy than it used to be. Okay, so we'll put the specs up on the screen over here. The processor, this is the Ryzen 5 4500U, which is an APU. It's got the GPU built in with a Radeon Vega 6 graphics. It's a 2.3 gigahertz base clock with a 4 gigahertz boost clock. The memory on here, it's 8 gigabytes of DDR4-3200 megahertz memory. I'm going to be upgrading the memory on this in a separate video. I bought some crucial ballistics memory. This is 16 gigabytes. And I'm really curious to see what this does to the performance. And we got a 512 gigabyte NVMe SSD. And I guess that's the main part. Oh, the battery. It's got a good battery. I think it says it's rated for up to 13 hours. Obviously, that's on like a low power mode. Usually for me, it lasts like a couple days and I use it for a couple hours every day. So, you know, I'm not going to do a scientific test on it, but, you know, it gets my thumbs up, that's for sure. Okay, going back to the laptop itself, the keyboard is very nice. It has a nice kind of clicky feel to it. The keys are a good mix of clicky and mushy. You know, it's not a premium laptop, so you're not going to get a mechanical feel to it, but for the price of this, it does feel really good, and it's got a nice backlit keyboard. The speakers on this are quite impressive. When I pulled up a YouTube video for the first time, it kind of surprised me how good it sounded. Yeah, I don't know if you could hear me over it, but it does get really loud. And very impressive bass too. I'm sure you can't tell on the video, but just take my word for it. It does sound really good for a laptop. It has this Bang & Olufsen, and they were proud enough of Bang & Olufsen speakers to put it right on the chassis. So those Bang & Olufsen, I guess they make good speakers, and yeah, I would agree with that based on my experience. The screen itself is very bright. It's a wonderful screen, to be honest. It's a 1080p. I think this one's 1000 nit brightness. Different versions of this laptop have different brightnesses. It has a privacy sort of screen effect, so if you're viewing it from the side, it's hard to see. And they do that on purpose. They advertise it, and you can push one button at their super privacy mode. But yeah, the screen is super bright. It has a good color gamut, built-in HDR support, so they definitely didn't cheap out on the screen the way lots of these mid-range laptops do. One piece of software that they did include that's pretty important, they have this HP command center, and you can use this to select your power profiles. If you're playing a game, you want to put it on performance. Then if you're sitting on the couch with this in your lap, you'll want to go for quiet or comfort just to make sure the temperatures don't get hot. But speaking of the temperatures, it does not get very hot at all. Like when you're playing a game, yeah, it'll get a little bit warm. The ventilation is along the back here, and it blows away from the laptop, which is nice. It doesn't blow down into your lap. I was really impressed with the heat. Yeah, you can also change the performance here. The battery indicator, you could set the power mode, and this command center is what controls the boost speed on the CPU and how much resources are allocated to the GPU. So you definitely want to use this piece of software. Oh, speaking of the CPU and GPU, yeah, we got the Ryzen 5 4500U in there. See, it's even got a sticker to prove it. This has the built-in Radeon Vega 6 graphics. This isn't a gaming laptop, it's a mid-range laptop. It's not made for gaming, but obviously I installed some games, and yeah, it works good. I could play games on this and really enjoy myself a lot. Because of the quality of the screen and the color gamut and just the power that you get in the processor, I'd say this is a great laptop for somebody who does creative work or production work. Everybody knows that Ryzen processors are not the best for Adobe applications. I mean, they work, but Intel processors with dedicated graphics or the built-in Iris Xe graphics are going to perform better than Ryzen. And that mostly comes down to the software, the Radeon software, in my opinion. So I got Photoshop here, and yeah, the graphics acceleration, it works good. But I think it would get bogged down if you were using, some really in-depth production stuff. And Illustrator, the graphics card is not recognized at all in any way. Yeah, in the performance section in Illustrator, it says compatible GPU not available. Maybe they'll add support for this GPU in the future, but it's definitely not there out of the box, and this is up to date. It does show up in Photoshop, but not Illustrator. So, that's kind of disappointing because I'm more likely to use Illustrator than Photoshop, to be honest. It does the job. I played around with it for a bit, so I'll be using it, that's for sure. I mean, you're not going to get the most amazing performance from a mid-range laptop ever, right? Like, you get a mid-range laptop because it's a good mix of price and performance, so you can do the stuff you need to do, but it's not going to knock your socks off with how well it does those things. So I'm going to go ahead and plug this in because you can't select the most. Let me get you there. There you go, little guy. Yeah, you're not going to get the best performance unless you have it plugged into the wall. Like, it works on the battery. You could use it. You could use it to play games, but you'll get better frames per second if you're plugged in. So, just keep that in mind. So what I did here was I installed a bunch of games onto this external hard drive. So I didn't need to fill up the 512 gigabytes on the computer with games. I'll put a few games on there, but I'm just getting started, and this is a good way to play games if you don't want to use up your storage. You can just plug this in. I'm not likely to play games with this sitting in my lap, to be honest. anytime I'll be playing games, if I'm visiting my aunt and uncle or visiting my cousins or something, I bring my laptop to play games. I'm going to be playing it on a table anyway, so this works well enough. It is kind of awkward to plug in the USB because of those little flaps that cover it. It's something you gotta get used to. Oh yeah, before we get into some games to try that out, I have a feeling that the performance is going to be held back by the memory that's in the system. We've only got 8 gigabytes here. And this is an APU, which means that the graphics card, the processor, is built in to the computer's processor. So it uses system memory as gaming video memory. And with 8 gigabytes, that's probably pretty low for lots of modern games. So I got myself a 16 gigabyte kit here. And I'm going to do a separate video on that. The 4500U processor in here. What's the difference between 8 gigabytes and 16 gigabytes? I don't know, but I'm curious to find out. So stay tuned for that one, or check it out in my videos below. But we're not going to worry about that right now. We're just going to try some games. I don't know if you could hear that, but this is what it sounds like when it really gets going with the fans. It's not crazy or anything. It doesn't distract me. It's not annoying. It doesn't have that kind of high-pitched whining noise that lots of laptop fans have. You know, you will hear it, especially if you're listening to the laptop without any sound from the game going. Oh yeah, it's running really good. The settings aren't the highest, you know, this is 720p and on pretty low settings, but not the lowest, and you know, it's running really good. It's at about 35 frames per second. I'm gonna switch over to my display capture. I can't record at the same time as playing. The processor is not good enough to do that. And on a screen this small, you know, it's only a 14-inch screen, so you know, 720p, it looks pretty good. And I could totally play and enjoy games like this. So we'll switch over to the display capture now. So here we are on the display capture, and just generally speaking, we're trying to target about 30 FPS. Sorry about the lack of the proper FPS display. Steam's FPS counter is sort of visible up there at the top left if you're curious. Like I said, this is Shadow of the Tomb Raider, obviously, and we're running at 720p with 50% resolution scale, low settings, and we got between 30 and 35 FPS. And like I said, it looks great on the laptop screen. It doesn't look as good when it's blown up in the screen capture video, but on the actual screen of the laptop, it does look really good, and it plays good too. I have lots of fun playing games at this laptop. In this game, I expect that the 8 gigabytes of RAM is holding us back. I've had issues with 8 gigabytes of RAM in this game before. I don't think it's enough for modern games, to be honest. I'm really curious to see what upgrading the RAM does for this gaming potential of this machine. I'm definitely gonna test Shadow of the Tomb Raider first thing when I switch out the RAM here, because you know, as good as it looks and as good as it plays, I want to see if this laptop can do any better when it comes to the frame rates and the resolution it can push. And then I gave Witcher 3 a try. This is 900p, mostly low settings. We got between 22 and 30 FPS. And I realized after that I accidentally left the shadow detail on high, which isn't ideal for high FPS. I was wondering why I didn't get better FPS, to be honest, and I'm pretty sure that's why. Also in this one, I left the V-Sync off, which makes the display capture look a lot worse than it is. It actually looked pretty smooth on the screen. Again, here, I think we're held back by the RAM, but not as much as Shadow of the Tomb Raider. This game's a little bit older at this point. It still plays great. It's really fun. It's kind of a slower paced game, so, you know, lower FPS is fine to deal with in this one. Then I fired up Need for Speed Heat, which is my favorite racing game. We're playing at 1080p, but only 50% resolution scale. Low settings, obviously. We got between 30 and 35 FPS. It doesn't look amazing, especially in the screen capture. It's not terrible, but it's not great. Honestly, you kind of forget about the graphics once you start playing the game and having fun. And the smaller laptop screen, it looks much better than when I'm viewing it here in the video on my big monitor. So, it's not really an issue. I played this game for about 15 minutes and had a great time. And now we're going to Mad Max, 900p normal settings. We got between 35 and 40 FPS on this one. It's an older game, so it works better with the 8 gigabytes of RAM. It's definitely a great system to run older games, from like 5 to 10 years ago. A great era for video games in general. You can turn up the graphics if you're targeting 30 FPS, like a console experience, especially if you're playing with a controller like I was. 900p on this screen, it looks closer to 1080p to be honest, because, it's only 13 point whatever inches screen. It's a great game, lots of fun. There's just so many great games you can play on this system that'll run perfect. And then, I fired up some emulation. This is RetroBat, which is a emulation station front end for Windows. Of course, emulation runs amazing. You can run everything up to and including PlayStation 2 with no problems. Anything more than PS2, it'll be hit or miss, I think. Dreamcast, PSP, all that stuff, it'll run just fine on this system. And here I am playing my favorite Game Boy game, Burger Time. Oh yeah. Well, there you go. The gaming performance, it's not gonna compete with a gaming laptop, that's for sure, but this is not a gaming laptop. This is a mid-range laptop. HP has their Spectre line, which is the higher end. And they have their Pavilion line, which is their lower end. This is the Envy line. And it's like the middle ground. It's kind of their jack of all trades. It's that good performance to price ratio. And considering that it's not a gaming laptop, it's way better than I ever thought it would be, because you can play games on it. You can definitely play older games really well, and it even handles newer games. And I was actually surprised to see how good the newer games ran, especially considering we're only on 8 gigabytes of memory in this guy. So I'm really curious to see if upgrading to 16 gigabytes is going to make any difference. I have a feeling it's going to make a pretty big difference, but we'll find out about that real soon. So check out the video below. Make sure you're subscribed if you want to see how that turns out. Anyway, that's kind of my review, first impressions. I've lived with this laptop for about 2 weeks now, and I'm really, really happy with it. Usually when I buy something like this, I'm happy with it for a day or two, and then it's just kind of whatever, I don't even think about it, and sometimes I'll even regret paying the money for it. But this hasn't. I would buy this again instantly. I'm super impressed by the performance. I really do love the size and shape, the way it looks, the way it feels. So yeah, this is the HP Envy laptop, convertible x360 tablet laptop thing. And I hope you found this video useful, or at least entertaining. Please let me know in the comments below if you have any questions about this laptop. If you have one of these, what's your experience? I'd love to hear from you down there. And while you're down there, give me a thumbs up if you like the video, or a thumbs down if you didn't like it for some reason. Subscribe so you don't miss any of my videos. I'm TechDweeb. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.